Hey everyone! Welcome back to my channel. My name's Bella, and it's time for your weekly reminder that you are worth every second of effort that you put into yourself. I'm excited for today's topic. I have to say, it's a really juicy one. Kind of technical, but I'll try to keep it as simple as possible. Today, we're going to be talking about how to read an ingredients list, when it's going to be helpful, and when it isn't going to be so helpful. Have you ever picked up a product and you look at the front of the box and you think, hey, this looks promising, but then you turn to the back of the box, which is where the ingredients list is, and you have no idea how to read it? Don't worry, you're not alone. A lot of people getting into skincare experience the same kind of confusion. And they always wonder, how did that person know that that product was going to be good for their skin? Are they psychic? Actually, no. Chances are they probably read the ingredients list. When deciding whether or not a skincare or makeup product is for you, the ingredients list is a great starting point because it can be a litmus test for the marketing jargon that's usually on the front of the package. It'll help you spot any ingredients that you want to avoid and also any ingredients that you want to have on your skin. But at the same time, the ingredients list can't tell you everything, as we're gonna find out as we learn more about how to read it. Just a side note, this video is heavily inspired by HYRAM's video on how to read a skincare ingredients list. He makes an otherwise complicated and overwhelming process really easy to understand. He's doing the Lord's work, basically. So if you guys want to check that out, I've linked it down below. Now, without further ado, let's get into the basic principles behind an ingredients list. The first, and perhaps the most important principle, is that the ingredients of a skincare product are listed in order of decreasing concentration. This means that the ingredients that are listed closer to the beginning of the ingredients list are likely to be present in a higher concentration in the product, while ingredients that are listed closer to the end of the ingredients list are likely to be in a smaller concentration in the product. Simple, right? The second principle behind an ingredients list is that each cosmetic ingredient is listed in a very specific way. This way is known as the INCI or INCI naming system, meaning there's systematic names for each ingredient. It's not an alien language, believe me, even though it looks like it. INCI stands for International Nomenclature Cosmetic Ingredient. It's a system for naming cosmetic ingredients in an easy to recognize and easy to spot way, so that wherever a skincare product is sold in the world, regulatory bodies will be able to understand in the snap. Okay, this is what's in the product. We know it's safe, we know it's effective. For example, one of our favorite ingredients on the channel is hyaluronic acid. This is the common name for this cosmetic ingredient, but under the INCI system, hyaluronic acid can have up to 8 different names like sodium hyaluronate, hyaluronic acid, sodium hyaluronate cross-polymer, and others. But they're all basically referring to hyaluronic acid. Time out, and allow me to rant a little bit about fear-mongering in the cosmetics industry. This trend has become so big and so blown up, and I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about reading ingredients and fearing an ingredient because it's something that you can't pronounce. That is completely untrue. We shouldn't fear an ingredient just because we can't pronounce it. That has no relation to its safety or its efficacy. So, an ingredient on an ingredients list might look scary, but it actually isn't. The third and final fundamental principle behind learning how to read an ingredients list is the phenoxyethanol rule. Now, in formulations for cosmetics, they often use phenoxyethanol as a preservative to make sure that no bacteria, molds, or other undesirables grow in the product over time. Phenoxyethanol has a usage rate of 0.5 to 1% in the finished product. So when you look at an ingredients list, you can usually spot phenoxyethanol, and then you'll know that whatever comes before phenoxyethanol is most likely in a concentration of above 1%, and whatever comes after phenoxyethanol in the ingredients list is likely present at a concentration less than 1% or 0.5%. Now I'm going to expand this rule to other similar preservatives with similar usage rates. These similar preservatives include EHGP and ethylhexylglycerin. This fundamental principle is helpful because while we know what ingredients are present in a cosmetic product, we don't know the concentration of each. Although there are some brands that willingly disclose the percentages of each ingredient in their products, not all companies do. I would say that that's going above and beyond for transparency, which is a good thing, but because not all companies are required to do that, you can be a little bit confused sometimes, like, oh, I know this product has niacinamide in it, but what's the percentage? We won't really know unless the company publicly discloses that information. So this phenoxyethanol EHGP ethylhexylglycerin rule is helpful for gauging more or less what the concentrations of each ingredient in the product are in a very general sense. Of course, you won't be able to tell like what the exact percentages are, but it's still helpful, especially if there's an ingredient that you'd rather not be high up on the ingredients list before phenoxyethanol because you have a certain sensitivity to that ingredient. Okay, now that we've learned the basics of reading an ingredients list, let's put that skill to the test. Now, the product that I chose to analyze the ingredients list of today is the product that I used in my last video, the makeup tutorial. It's the Strokes Banana Slush Moisturizer. Now, I find this to be an interesting ingredients list because I haven't seen a similar formula or tried a product with a similar formula yet. Now let's do an ingredient list deep dive, which is one of my favorite things to do. So, because I'm nosy like that. But first, we see that it's a water-based product because water is the first ingredient in the ingredients list. So it's likely to be a little bit hydrating. And it also has glycerin and panthenol, propene diol, 1,2-hexane diol, which are also ingredients that will hydrate and pull water to the skin so that it stays moisturized and hydrated. This also has dimethicone. Now, a note about silicones, they're not comedogenic, and actually dimethicone is one of the nicest silicones out there, I'd say, because it gives your product really just nice to use texture. So those are the first few ingredients that tell us what kind of product this is going to be. So it's a silicone-based, hydrating, moisturizing product. And as we go further down the ingredients list, I spot something that I don't really like. Okay, so I see fragrance quite high up on the ingredients list. Usually, fragrance or fragrant components are placed closer to the end of the ingredients list. So if you don't like fragrance, you might want to consider that concentration in this product. But it also has a lot of interesting ingredients like turmeric root extract, Melia azadirachta, I don't know how to say that, flower extract, basically a lot of plant extracts that are supposed to add to the benefits of this moisturizer. Okay, next let's look for the preservative in this product. Okay, I spotted it now. Okay, ethylhexylglycerin is the preservative of choice in this product. And again, it's higher than I usually see in a cosmetic product, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. But that does mean that all of the ingredients that come after ethylhexylglycerin are present at a concentration of less than 1%. Now again, this isn't necessarily bad because each cosmetic ingredient has a safe usage rate that manufacturers have to adhere to. But since this moisturizer is named Banana Slush, I did a little bit of digging and you'll see that Musa sapientum, banana fruit extract, is the second to the last ingredient in this formulation. That makes me go, because my understanding is that if you name something after an ingredient, then it's likely to be present at a high concentration in the product. But here, it's present at a lower concentration in the product, lower than the preservative. So I looked it up, and if they used banana fruit extract in its liquid form, you can actually use levels of 5 to 10%. But if the manufacturer used a powdered banana fruit extract, then this ingredients list would make sense, because for the powdered version, the usage rate is 0.1 to 0.5% by weight. So it really depends. But if you were someone who was looking for a skincare product with the benefits of banana, this might not have it. That was the reason that I bought this product, but I still ended up liking it a lot. So buying the product is still really important for you to tell whether it's a good product. And that's one of the important things that an ingredients list cannot tell you. Now, this leads me to a very important word of caution that I want to give you. While it's nice and very interesting to read ingredients list, they're not everything. First, we have to understand that an ingredient isn't present by itself in the formula. So there will be ingredient-ingredient interactions that could lessen the supposed irritating or sensitizing effects of a certain ingredient. For example, there might be alcohol in a product, but the drying properties of alcohol could be balanced out by glycerin, panthenol, and other hydrating and moisturizing ingredients. So you see, an ingredient is never present by itself. We should always look at the formula as a whole and avoid demonizing a product based on a single ingredient. Fragrance is one of those ingredients that's probably gotten a bad rap recently, hence the rise of fragrance-free, clean beauty products. Now we have to understand that fragrance, when done right, can actually be a nice ingredient to have in a formulation. So unless you are allergic, it might not be something that you have to worry about too much. And anyway, each fragrance has a safe usage rate, and manufacturers adhere to those usage rates. Also, and I think this is a very, very important point to make, ingredient lists cannot tell us about the quality of an ingredient. This is something that Leah Yu pointed out in an Instagram post. I'll put it here for you guys right now. As a brand owner myself, I completely understand what she means. Different ingredients from different suppliers, which are sold at different prices and different qualities, will have different effects in the final product. But when they're listed on the ingredients list, they're just using the inky name. So you can't really tell much about the quality of an ingredient just by reading the ingredients list. Also, the physical experience, what a product feels like to use, what it feels like on your skin, matters a lot. Even though you may say, oh, I'm a stickler for ingredients, I don't care that much about how a product feels to use. You're lying, of course you do. I mean, we don't want to use something that's gross on your skin, and a lot of products that don't feel good to use, we often replace those with products that have more elegant formulas, more elegant experiences. But that's something that you can't tell from looking at an ingredients list. So trying the product out for yourself is still very important. Again, reading ingredient lists is fun and can be a great jumping off point for you to decide whether or not you want to buy a product. But it's like a puzzle piece and an entire jigsaw puzzle. It's just one factor that you have to consider, and it doesn't have to make or break your purchase because, again, the ingredients list can't tell you everything. What I shared with you today are just general principles that you can keep in mind when you want to read the ingredients list of a product. But there are thousands and thousands of products out there, and there are also thousands of cosmetic ingredients. So each product's ingredients list might look a little bit different. And you know what? That's fine because this is a lifelong learning process and we have to keep growing and evolving just like our cosmetics are. At the end of the day, please don't forget that skincare and makeup are supposed to be fun. Learning more about something is supposed to increase your enjoyment of the thing. And that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you so much. I mean, I'd hug you, but this is a video and that kind of technology hasn't been developed yet. But either way, I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed learning something. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!